You ever wake up one morning, look out your window, and realize someone's trying to sell your house while you're still living in it? Yeah. Welcome to my Tuesday. My own HOA president tried to list my home as abandoned property. I'm not exaggerating. I was literally standing in my kitchen in pajama pants drinking coffee when I found out my house was for sale. It started like any normal morning. Coffee too strong, my dog Bruno barking at the mail truck, the kind of quiet suburban peace I used to think was priceless. Then my phone rang. A real estate agent, polite but confused, asked when I wanted to schedule my move-out inspection. I laughed, thinking it was a prank call, but she kept talking. "Mr. Grant, our records say the HOA has approved your property as vacant. We just need access to take pictures." Vacant lady. I'm standing inside the house holding a sandwich. Then she said the name on the listing form. Marilyn Crane. And instantly my stomach dropped. Marilyn was our HOA president, a woman who walked her tiny dog with a clipboard like it was a badge of authority, the type who fined you if your trash can was visible for more than 5 minutes. I stepped outside to see if this was some weird misunderstanding, and there she was, standing on my lawn wearing that signature pink blazer, pointing at my house with another woman holding a camera. She froze when she saw me, eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. "Oh, you're still here," she stuttered. "Still here," I said. "I live here, Marilyn, you know, like a homeowner." She fumbled some excuse about confusion and neglect. Neglect. My lawn was greener than her soul. Later that afternoon I found a paper taped to my door, an HOA citation claiming my property appeared abandoned and deteriorating. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. My house was freshly painted flowers blooming mailbox straight. Marilyn wasn't mistaken. She was building a case. That's when I decided to play along. If she wanted to act like a con artist, fine, I'd treat her like one. I called the real estate office back, pretending to be clueless, asking when this abandoned house was first reported. The woman said Marilyn had already signed preliminary paperwork saying the HOA had legal authority to list my home. According to her, I'd moved away without notice months ago. Meanwhile, I was home watching her walk past my window twice a day with her stupid clipboard. I called my buddy Mark, who worked part-time in property management, and asked, "What happens if someone tries to sell an occupied house?" He laughed for a full minute before saying, "That's real estate fraud, identity fraud, and trespassing triple combo. Perfect. Let's catch her red-handed." The next morning I pretended to leave for work. I parked my car around the corner, then crept back behind my hedges, camera ready, heart pounding. Around 10 a.m., Marilyn strutted up my driveway, bright pink blazer practically glowing, 2 agents in tow. She unlocked my gate with her own key and started giving them a tour. "It's been empty for months," she said confidently. "We'll clean it up and list it as a quick sale." One of the agents frowned. "You're sure the owner's gone?" Marilyn smiled, that fake kind of smile that makes your teeth itch. "Positive. I handle everything for the HOA. He hasn't been seen in ages." That was my cue. I stepped out, coffee in hand. "Morning, Marilyn. Haven't been seen in ages, huh?" The agents jumped. One dropped his clipboard. Marilyn froze, face twitching like her whole brain had just blue-screened. "Oh, Mr. Grant, I was just checking for squatters." "Squatters," I said. "With a real estate contract." The agents muttered something about verifying documents and left in a hurry. Marilyn stood in my driveway, clutching her clipboard like it was a shield. "This is all a misunderstanding," she said weakly. "You were on the delinquency list, for what I asked, owning a house you're jealous of." That night my cameras caught her sneaking back around 11:47 p.m., taking more pictures of my property. I called the cops. They gave her a warning. A warning. That's when I realized yelling wouldn't fix this. I needed proof so undeniable that even Marilyn's smug face couldn't talk her way out. 2 days later, the universe handed me a gift. The regional manager of the real estate company, a guy named Chris, called me personally. He sounded both pissed and amused. "Mr. Grant," he said, "you might want a copy of this." When I met him, he showed me footage from their security cameras, Marilyn leading the agents up my driveway, bragging that the homeowner disappeared months ago. She was practically auditioning for a villain role. Chris just shook his head. "We've reported her to local authorities. This is serious. She forged documents. He handed me a flash drive. You didn't get this from me, he said with a grin. But I'd love to see how the HOA explains it. Oh, they were going to explain it. In front of everyone. The next HOA meeting, I walked in with that flash drive in my pocket and my phone recording. Marilyn sat at the head of the table, sipping lemon water like a queen about to deliver judgment. Ah, Mr. Grant, she purred. We were just discussing your non-compliance issues. Perfect, I said, plugging the USB into the projector. Because I was just discussing your real estate crimes. The room went silent. The video started. Marilyn's voice filled the room. Yes, the homeowner vanished months ago. Total eyesore. Gasps everywhere. One board member's jaw literally dropped. She tried to interrupt, saying it was out of context. Really, I said. Did context change the part where you used my gate key? Paul, the HOA treasurer who never spoke, finally stood up. Marilyn, did you actually try to sell his house? She stammered. I was helping the neighborhood. Paul groaned. You forged property records. That's not helping. That's felony-level stupid. The room erupted in whispers. Someone muttered, "Told you she was power-hungry." Another said, "She fined me for leaving my trash can out for 8 minutes." Marilyn's mask cracked. She slammed her hand on the table. "You're all ungrateful I've kept this place perfect while you people let your lawns die," I leaned forward. "And now you'll get to keep it perfect from a courtroom." That's when Paul called an emergency board vote. Within minutes, Marilyn was removed as president. She stormed out yelling about peasants and betrayal. I thought it was over. It wasn't. The next morning, there was a giant "for sale" sign on my lawn, again spray-painted with red letters that said, "Foreclosure." Same sign the agents had confiscated days ago. And guess whose car was parked at the end of the street? Marilyn's, pretending to talk on the phone. I waved at her. She sped off like a getaway driver. This time, the police didn't shrug it off. I handed them the flash drive, the HOA citations, the photos. The officer looked at everything and said, "She's in deep trouble." A few weeks passed, and then came the call. "Mr. Grant, this is Detective Alvarez, County Real Estate Fraud Division. He told me Marilyn Crane was officially under investigation for attempted real estate fraud, document falsification, and trespassing. And here's the kicker. Mine wasn't her first target. She'd been trying to list vacation homes of people who weren't around full-time, filing fake HOA claims to take control, then selling them to fake buyers. She'd pocket the deposit, blame clerical errors, and walk away clean. But this time she'd picked the wrong house. When the court date arrived, half the neighborhood showed up. The courtroom looked like a live taping of Justice for Suburbia. Marilyn walked in wearing beige, her innocent outfit. But her face? Pure panic. The prosecutor played the footage. Marilyn strutting up my driveway saying, "We're doing the neighborhood a favor." The prosecutor paused it. "Miss Crane, can you identify the man in this video?" Marilyn squinted. "That's the homeowner. The same homeowner you said was missing for months." You could hear people chuckling. Even the bailiff cracked a smile. Then it was my turn. The prosecutor asked, "Mr. Grant, can you describe your living situation during the time Miss Crane alleged you were missing?" "Sure," I said, leaning into the mic. "I was home making coffee, mowing my lawn, and watching her walk past my window 14 times a week." Laughter rippled through the room. Marilyn tried to pull one last stunt, said she truly believed the house was empty. The prosecutor held up a stack of HOA letters, all signed by me during the exact same period. The judge just sighed. "Miss Crane," he said, "you didn't make a mistake. You made a business out of lying." That line hit harder than her lemon water. The verdict: guilty on all counts. She got slapped with probation fines and a restraining order, 3 years banned from any HOA involvement. The HOA itself dissolved temporarily, which meant for the first time in decades we were HOA free. I didn't feel like celebrating. Honestly, I just sat on my porch that evening, coffee in hand, staring at the sunset over a neighborhood finally quiet. No more pink blazer patrols, no more fake citations, no more power trips, just peace. Weeks later, I got a letter from the county thanking me for my cooperation. Enclosed was a reimbursement check and a note. "Your vigilance prevented further fraud cases." I smiled, folded the letter, and looked across the street at the old HOA office, now empty, blinds drawn. Marilyn's name still faintly etched on the mailbox. When the sunlight hit it just right, it almost glowed like a warning sign. Don't mess with the homeowner who's still very much alive. Because in neighborhoods like ours, sometimes the real danger isn't the stranger breaking in, it's the one with a clipboard pretending to protect you.